with the brand's bold new campaign. Now, it's time to talk about what this really means for Filipinos. So for our fireside chat, we have here on stage Ms. Denise, Sir Hill, and Maxie, okay, our executives, because one of the faces of the campaign, also Maxie, will be having a fireside chat, okay?
Okay, good.
Alright, so guys will be sitting here, our panelists, and we will be throwing in some questions for this Q&A part of our program. Are you guys ready? How are you feeling for this afternoon? We're already here at the part of our program where we express more about the newest campaign of our brand. So, how are you guys feeling? Any short answers? One word perhaps?
I'm feeling I'm in a freezer.
That's an air con. How about you, Sir Hill?
I'm just thankful and grateful that everything is coming together. All our plans are taking off for the Trust Brand Repositioning campaign, and I'm just happy.
Thank you, Sir Hill. How about you, Ms. Denise? Any initial thoughts so
I
far?
feel grateful and humbled because I know how much work went into this by the team. I know how much work went into this by advocates such as Maxie, who've been advocating for this for a long time. I'm also humbled by standing on the shoulders of giants for the last 30 years with our partners and the previous trust teams. And I just feel humbled as somebody who gets to work in this amazingly beautiful country with such special people that I get to be a part of this. So I feel grateful and humbled.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Denise. And Maxie, of course.
I feel so blessed. Siyempre na nabibilang ako sa mga taong ganito. Dating nasa kanto lang ako. Ngayon, advocate na. Parang dyan na. So I'm so grateful and blessed. And masaya ako na ibinigay ni Lord itong araw na ito sa ating lahat.
Thank you. This is a beautiful day indeed. And of course, to start our questions, just a pre-question before we head on to the list of questions that I've prepared for you guys. On top of your mind, what's something that you want to be normalized? On top of your mind. Okay. You have any initial thoughts, Ms. Denise? Okay, go ahead.
Female sexual pleasure.
Female sexual pleasure.
If there's still too much emphasis on pleasing the guy, the women should just come out and own their sexual pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes, we have people agreeing to what you just said. How about Mr. Hill?
Shout out muna sa Pantay. Thank you for coming, guys. Those are our partners.
Big round of applause for our partners right here.
Yeah. I agree with Denise that female sexuality is something we should normalize. Female pleasure, basically. But I also want to normalize the conversation between a parent and a child about sex and sexual wellness. Because in families, in normal Filipino families, the conversation about sex, or the topic about sex is quite taboo. There's always met with silence and shame. We can turn that around and turn that silence into meaningful conversation. We can turn that shame into understanding, and we can turn that fear into empowerment. Yeah.
That's true, because we grew up in a community or in a society that we resist this kind of discussions, right? And I think it was mentioned earlier, we want more. We don't deserve any less. So it's part of our campaign to talk more openly about this discussion. And it usually should start at home, right? With the parent and the child trusting their parents also, because they've been with them every day, they trust them on their early stages. So it's really important that we extend this mission across all the homes and communities of our Filipino community, right? Yes, Maxie.
I think normalize na i-teach sa school talaga. So bata, matanda, high school, college. Kasi yung iba wala talagang access sa internet eh. Yung iba walang access na makapanood o makakuha ng impormasyon galing sa internet. May natuturo natin sa eskwelahan ng maayos para sa ganun natututo ang mga bata, mga estudyante. Normalize na natin yan, guys.
That's true. Kasi pag inisip natin about sex, and ang pumapasok sa isip natin, bastos. Pero it's completely normal and it's essential for of course, adulthood, di ba? Especially kapag tumatanda na yung mga bata, they're reaching the teenage years, that's when curiosity comes in. And when they are curious, it's nice that it's backed up with the knowledge. message that is relevant with their curiosity, right?
And to add to that, pwede mo pag-usapan ng sex in a very respectful and very objective
Yes,
manner.
of course.
Correct. Kasi nagiging bastos lang naman kasi siya kasi hindi pa nila alam yung tama.
Correct. That is true.
Pag-uunawa at tama kung paano talakayin talaga.
Yes, correct. So that's a very nice way to open this fireside chat. So we head on to you, Miss Denise. So I just have one question. First question for you. So why do you think the Filipinos talking about sexual health is still so difficult for Filipino community?
Yeah, so we looked into many objective studies, and we also did a huge consumer study last year as well to really put the finger on the pulse and how can we help Filipinos. And what we really saw is some of the topics that were mentioned here already. So 3 main points. And one is really it's not being taught in schools. And if we do talk about it in schools in the Philippines, the focus is on abstinence, which does not prepare people for the real life world of peer pressure or boredom or even sometimes abuse. And so what do you do if those things happen to you and the only thing that you were talked about was abstinence, right? So the information is not complete in that sense. And secondly, what we saw as well, that many people see that there's a taboo to talk with their parents about it. A lot of the parents in our research even said, we don't even know what we're supposed to share. We don't have the knowledge, we don't have the words. And even if we do, there's still so much stigma and taboo and shame about it. Like it's a conversation you cannot have between an adult and a child that prohibits, like you said, that one person that you trust the most to be your go-to point. So I don't think it's necessarily the parents who want to protect their children. We also need to arm parents with the tools to have that conversation with their children and make them comfortable in that as well. And then thirdly, what we saw is there is no safe space. People have to go to the internet. You know, one of the interesting things we see is that the Philippines is one of the largest users of porn sites in the whole world. And that's not because Filipinos love porn more, it's because it's the only way to get some information about sexual and reproductive health. And it's not the right information. So what is really important is something that we're doing here today, and what we're also trying with this campaign, and also why we launched our Trust.ph website, is to offer those spaces where you can ask those questions, find that information, clear any doubts without judgment or without misinformation. And so those 3 points really come most strong. So we definitely need better sex education in schools. We need to empower children and their parents to have those conversations and give them the tools to do that rightfully. And we need to create those safe spaces in society where your normal is normal and there is no judgment when you're just trying to educate yourself and thereby empower an entire community.
That's right. I like what you shared. I like the point that you shared earlier that if we want to start it in the home of the children, we need to arm also the people who will inform the children. And I think that's when the discussion about limiting the information about sexual and reproductive health plays a big importance to this discussion. That's why, again, mga mamster, visit the Trust.ph website. Everything that you need to know about sexual and reproductive health is there. You can start from there and take realizations, extend these discussions to anywhere you feel like extending. Anything you guys want to add from that question or answer, Ms. Denise? We're all good? Okay. So next question is for you, Maxie.
Wow.
So the question is, okay, so this campaign is anchored no, ang normal mo, normal yan. And as someone who represents boldness, confidence, and self-expression, what does this campaign mean to you personally?
Coming from a very diverse world na everyday nakaka-encounter ako, nakakasalamuha ako ng iba't ibang klaseng tao, everyone is free to learn. And free to learn without any judgment. Ako po ay nakapiluka, naka-makeup, nakagantong damit. Kasi ako po ay drag queen. At ako po ay lalaki. So, coming from my community na iba't ibang klase ng tao, napakahalaga po ng katagang ang normal mo ay normal yan. Kasi, girl, boy, bakla, tomboy, lahat po tayo ay may sexual. At normal po yun na pagtalakayin, normal na pag-usapan nang walang judgment at dapat hindi kinakahiya.
Thank you, Maxie. Those are powerful words coming from you, diba? So, maganda na nakaka-experience din tayo ng mga iba't ibang klaseng tao, and from them, we also learn the needs and the challenges that we have. That's when we will spark this discussion, right? Thank you, Maxie. So, Sir Hill, heading on to you. So, as the marketing director of DKT, I'm sure you've had a unique perspective on how trust connects with Filipinos, right? And we've all heard earlier about DKT being a social enterprise. So can you tell us more about how the brand balances the commercial presence with its advocacies and mission?
Okay. For the longest time, the public and the healthcare providers know trust as we are just another run-of-the-mill pharma company, but we're more than that. We're a hybrid. We're that special because we, aside from being a commercial entity, we make sure that our products are affordable but still profitable enough for us to pool funds that could fund the programs and activities of DKT Philippines Foundation and the other DKT programs outside the Philippines, especially the ones in the lower and middle income countries, especially the ones in Africa. For DKT Philippines Foundation, we actually have a mobile clinic called Sodax Mobile Clinic that goes around Luzon to the geographically disadvantaged areas where there's an unmet need for family planning. And we go there with our mobile clinic to give out free family planning commodities and services like free ligation and free vasectomies. And we are able to do this because of the sales. Every purchase of trust products contribute to the funding of these programs and initiatives of the DKT Philippines Foundation. And there's mathematics to that, there's science to that actually. Like, na-compute na namin ito. Like 108 condoms could fund one free vasectomy, 103 packets of oral contraceptives could actually fund one free ligation. 54 contraceptive injectables could actually fund one free ligation as well. So so every purchase contributes to these programs and services. So that when it comes to reproductive health and rights, nobody gets left behind.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, Mr. Hill. It's really a testament that when we buy trust products, we do not only buy protection, but we also invest and fund the advocacy mission of the brand of Trust and DKT Health. We extend also the support to the communities, right? So again, it's very important that we support the product because supporting the product means we also support our Filipino community, extending this kinds of missions and advocacy, right? Offering ligation, vasectomy, and of course, not to mention as well the free products that you also give and share to the Filipino communities. Big round of applause for that advocacy and mission that Trust has established for 30 long years and counting. Thank you so much. And I think you mentioned also earlier, right? Your choice equals more choice. Again, your choice equals more choice. So if it's your choice to buy more Trust products, it equates to more choice of Filipinos being extended the free services of Trust and DKT Health in general. Thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you so much, Ms. Denise, Maxie, and Sir Hill for sharing your insights. Now, since we're already here on our Fireside chat, let's keep the conversation going. So we're now opening the floor to all of our friends, guests right here, Mama Ma'am. Sir, Ma'am, Sir, if you have any questions for our panelists, this is the perfect time for you to ask it out, and we'll be handing over the microphones to you. So feel free to direct your questions to any of our panelists. But if our panelists have anything to add from the answer or to the questions, feel free to add, okay? So anyone from our media friends? Yes, sir. Please introduce your name, media outlet for our panelists so they can better address you.
Hello, I'm Joel from Luminaires Philippines. I would like to ask the DKT, why Maxie was chosen and what makes her a trustworthy ambassador. And to Maxie, what trust products do you use and how do you use them? Charla!
Ayaw na ni others.
How will you use this platform to further advance your advocacies?
So I don't want to say we chose Maxie. We have the honor that Maxie chose to work with us. So let's get that out of straight. And we are so honored because for the last 30 years, whether it's through our trust grant or even Premier Commons, we've always fought for inclusivity. It's the most important thing to make sure that we leave nobody behind. And now with this repositioning to really show the Filipino community we are still here, we are that social enterprise, we impact the whole community and everybody is included. We are just so honored that Maxie wanted to lend her voice, her creativity, and her art to this repositioning campaign. And the lyrics of her song fits everything we believe in so well in our brand manifesto too. And literally, we stand on the shoulders of giants with trust like Maxie and like many other influencers and advocates for sexual and reproductive health and rights in the Philippines. So the fact that she chose to work with us is something that we are eternally grateful, humble, and inspired by. So thank you very much for that.
Of course, I want to thank also the trust. Siyempre, like ko naman sinasabi na kada may event po akong pinupuntahan, kada nagpo-perform ako, lagi ko sinasabi na kumapit sila ng condom, lalo yung mga kabataan ngayon, dahil tinatali na po ang kaso ng HIV dito sa Pilipinas. So, ito pong plataforma ko pong to, hindi ko po pinagdadamot. Ito pong plataforma ko kung hanggang sa man to aabot. At least kahit mapanood man lang nila ako, meron akong magandang nasasabi no, bilang isang bakla. Hindi, kasi gusto ko rin po talaga maiwasan at mapuksa natin itong HIV dahil HIV lang yan talaga, kaya-kaya natin siyang labanan. So maraming salamat, Trust, dahil sinusuportahan mo po yung advocacy ko. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Maxie, Ms. Denise, for answering the question. Anything you'd like to add, Sir Dino? We're good? Okay.
may tanong pa po si Sir Joel. Anong ginagamit ko? Condom po. Nilalagay ko po sa package. That's how you use it.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Maxie. Okay, anyone else from our media friends? Okay, I have a question here.
So, hello. My name is Lawrence and I'm a social media content creator. More focusing on HIV because I'm a person living with HIV. Morely, I understand the messaging is really good and it really amplifies. But how can we furthermore to amplify it to the community? We understand that most of the time, commercials about trust is not being, totally understood by anyone. But somehow, how can we make it more friendlier or childly understandable by other constituents?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for that question, Lawrence. And it's exactly what we do at DKT with Trust. That's what makes us a social enterprise instead of just a greedy corporation. So what we've done is first we've created trust.ph in multiple languages to make sure that anybody from wherever they are in the Philippines can access whatever kind of information they need, and it breaks it down in a very simplified manner. So you can even do quizzes to figure out what's the best contraceptive that fits me, to just put in the information you have already. I have 5 children, I don't want any more, or I have 1 and I still want one. But we also have an AI chatbot called AI Thea, and you can put in any question you want. Literally, I've tried it, the weirdest questions. You can put in any question you want, and it will answer you. And there's no judgment, it's completely anonymous. And so wherever you are in the Philippines, whether it's the countryside or whether it's Metro Manila, if you have that connection, of course, then you can ask whatever question you want. But what is the most beautiful thing about you asking this question? It allows us the opportunity to, again, shed light on the DKT Foundation. And our head of programs is here as well. Because one of the key interventions we're doing with the foundation this year as well is really to reach those socially, geographically isolated areas where people do not have access to information, maybe not even have that stable internet connection to go to that resource or to follow you or to go to the website, and really go door to door or do big lay forums or do family planning caravans to make sure that we bring those products and services directly to them. And we always work from a choice perspective. Now, what does that mean? We educate on the full range and scope and options, and you to choose which products suit you, or whether you even want to use a product or not, or maybe want to come back later on. So one of the big programs also for 2026 is really to reach those non-users, those socially geographically isolated areas, and of course the mobile clinic will keep on driving. They just concluded a 5-week tour without a break.
Wow.
Providing hundreds of people with free services. So thank you for, and also thank you for what you do on a daily basis. We need more people like you out there providing that education to the public. Thanks.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I know we have this advocacy, right, that we extend also not just online, but we also reach out to rural communities, making sure that information is extended to these people. So there are a lot of avenues actually to be informed and educated. And also it starts with you guys. So thank you also for sharing awareness with HIV and STIs, right? Anyone who wants to add? Or any more questions from our friends? Yes? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Alexa. I actually work for a family magazine, and I just like to piggyback on some of the stuff discussed earlier. I want to address first Denise and Bill, because you mentioned earlier that education is very crucial when it comes to sexual and reproductive rights. But how, from your experience, how were you at least able to break it down to us perspective of understanding it in the Filipino context? Because like it or not, we still have a lot of taboos to still, go through the challenges on that, to destigmatize. I think that's the best word. So how do you at least able to break it down from the perspective that Filipinos can at least understand?
Thank you for that question, because it's a very practical question. And I'm from the Netherlands, I'm Dutch, and one thing about Dutch people is we're extremely practical. So we don't just do words, it needs to be implementable, right? And so one of the great things that we're doing, to address your question, is we're creating those literal safe spaces, right? So what we're doing is we're partnering with partners such as Pantai to set up a school ambassador system, whereby ambassadors within student populations are being trained on accurate sexual and reproductive health education, and they're doing an amazing job, whereby they can train and teach their peers on that information in a safe space with the correct information. So we're creating safe spaces in schools. We're also going to work with the Department of Education to roll that out on a larger scale and develop a curriculum as well. That's also why we're a social enterprise. We also do a lot of work with the NDOH and health system strengthening and on the LGU level. So to continue that LGU level, our medical detailing team and our trailblazers always do big lay for us at the LGU. So whoever wants to come from that community can come over, get all the information on the different options we have. So that's another safe space where they can ask their questions. And then one of the other things we also do is we work very closely with midwives. And we have our TFCCs, or Trust Family Care Centers, all throughout the Philippines. And so we partner with midwives clinics who are like the backbone of the society, who know their community in and out. And there we also make sure that they have the funds and the resources to provide those information sessions to people. So we are online to make sure for those with a connection, they can go to the Trust website or social media. But we are also in schools, in homes, at LGUs, at the local clinic. And then finally, we just rolled out a huge pharmacist program, because pharmacists are the frontliners. And sometimes people come to the pharmacy to ask that information because they have nowhere else to go. And so we've done some big CFAD and CEFAD brands as well, working with DSAP, the Drugstore Association of the Philippines, to make sure that pharmacists and pharmacist technicians are armed with that knowledge when somebody actually comes to the counter and says, help me, what do I need to get? Or how does this work? So really what that does in some ways, we create safe spaces where people are educated to pass that knowledge on in a non-judgmental environment, whether it's the school, your midwife clinic, whether it's the LGU or the pharmacy you go to. And so that's why this campaign is so important, that normal, young, that takes place in those safe spaces, and we'll continue to commit ourselves to doing that.
Before I go, also a question for Maxie. I'm sure aware ka naman, of course, early this month, about a month or two ago, of course, we kind of had a lot of eye-openers for movies, like, of course, Sunshine and all of that. Now, as somebody who has this perfect platform to, talk about the issues of reproductive health. How do you plan to, continue promoting also the rights of LGBTQ, but at the same time, reproductive rights?
Of course, ang dami-dami kong followers sa TikTok, sa Facebook, sa Instagram. I will use that. Gagawa ka ng mga content, tumatog sa mga topic na yun. And of course, every time nagpo-perform talaga ako, kasi mas marami ang kabataan na nanonood sa akin ngayon. So mas dapat, mas makabuluhan yung mga sinasabi ko when it comes to this topic. Kasi ang mga bata ngayon sobrang galing na eh. Matatalino sila. Mapag-aral, at hindi sila pumapayag na hindi sila nakikinig sa mga facts na yun. So, positive ako na nakikinig naman sila sa akin. So, pwede ko, pupunta ako ng mga schools, napakala naman akong pumunta sa mga schools para mabigay ng mga leksyon at kaaralan sa kanila. At I will use my social media, myself.
Nadami na si Sel.
Nadami na. Para naman gusto sila. Hindi, linggo-linggo po ako po ay nasa television. Pagka po may pagkakataon ako po ay nagbibigay din naman ng kahit paano leksyon sa mga kabataan, sa mga manonood natin.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maxie and Miss Denise. Anyone else from our media friends? Can you think they're still creating questions? Okay. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Nicola from the Red Result. Dapat normalize natin yung ganitong 11 a.m. at mag-uusap tayo ng sexual health.
Yes.
Over naturals.
Yes.
Anyway, so you've been supporting us, the Red Result, for so many years. So maraming salamat. Marami rin mga kabataan na na-reach out. No? I just wanted to share that one of the biggest challenges that we've faced is sadly the church. And we've gone to different schools. Sadly also, a lot of the schools are run by church. Na-experience namin yung going to a school to do HIV education. Bawal mamigay ng condoms. So paano yun, di ba? Meron din isang school na pumayag mamigay ng condoms, huwag daw mamigay ng loops. It's just really funny, but we are from a nation who was brainwashed to think that sex is bad, even as a young child. No? The church taught us that even to think about it is wrong. So that's why I think, normalizing conversations about it, making children and adults realize that it's normal to feel that way, to explore yourself that way is normal. No? So, meron ba tayong interventions or programs or reaching out to church institutions? I know that's hard, but that's something that we need to, I think, deal with because it's part of the bigger problem. So, again, congratulations at maraming salamat.
Okay, anyone?
Well, we don't have, we're not doing an active effort to reach out to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. That is far from happening. But in fairness to them, for the longest since I came on board in 2019, sa lahat ng mga mass media campaigns natin, we have never received any negative reaction directly from the church. But we are so aware that we're so aware of their stance against birth control and family planning. But then again, what we do is we go where we go where we are accepted. We work with civil service societies. We partner with local government units. We partner with relevant medical societies to help us out with our advocacies like the Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Society and the Integrated Midwives Association of the Philippines. Even the Drugstores Association of the Philippines, we're working closely with them just for us to push and carry out our advocacy. And I think it's an uphill battle, but we are getting there. Anything else?
Thank you, Sir Neil. Yes, next. Okay, microphone, please. Okay.
Hi, hello. Piggybacking a little bit off of what Nicola said, I love the positioning of trust, especially with this campaign in terms of wanting to be less prescriptive about sex in the modern Filipino age, but also at the same time, I love trust's positioning as a social enterprise in making reproductive health and education more accessible, especially in lower income areas. But a little related to something that Nicola said, what is trust's specific position in terms of like cultural reform? Because that is one of our biggest battles in terms of the sexual health conversation in the Philippines, because we are a conservative Catholic country. And I love that there are also efforts in terms of, at least in terms of LGU, in terms of like partnering with the Department of Education. But what is Trust's vision in terms of the culture around sex in the Philippines, and how does Trust as a foundation and DKT as a foundation want it to change?
So again, trust works from the premise of choice. And our vision is really a world wherein everybody is free to choose how many children they want, if they want any children, and with whom, where the sex is great and the people are free. That's the vision of DKT, and that's what we adhere to. So if you find joy and fulfillment in whatever religious domination, that is your choice to have. If you find joy and fulfillment outside a religious domination, that should be your choice to make. And whatever the choices that you make, whatever the identity is that you form for yourself, that's what will help you out. Listen, we're not here to force us on you. If you don't want us, that's also your choice. It's also a choice not to use the options or services available to you, right? But what we do really believe in is if you have that choice, you should allow others to have that choice as well. And that's really the premise from which DKT works. And that's why also our vision for the world is a vision where the sex is great and the people are free. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Denise. Thank you, Nix, for sharing that question. And this is where we officially wrap up our Fireside Chat. Big round of applause for everyone for asking those questions and sharing discussion, conversation about sexual and reproductive health. Thank you also to our panelists for sharing your insights and answering the question of all of our guests right here. So, are we still okay? Buhay po ba tayong lahat? Yes, of course. So, dahil nandito na rin naman tayo,